Action.
During the Civil War, the Union Navy occupied the city called Norfolk.
I'm glad we control the city, fellow Union soldier.
As am I. I like guard duty. It's so easy. All you have to do is look through this telescope occasionally to see if there's... Oh no! Here's...
Can we take them?
No, there's too many!
Then we
better get the heck out of here.
Yes, we need to... But we can't take all the ships. We should burn one.
Oh, well then I think we should burn the Merrimac, personally.
That kind of sucks. After the Confederates took over Fort Monroe, the Union Army fled to Norfolk. After several months, the Confederates had completed the CSS Virginia, which was able to greatly influence the Battle of Hampton Roads. The CSS Virginia had 12 cannons, and it was heavily armored with iron, meaning it was impenetrable to non-rifled cannons. There weren't very many of those when the CSS Virginia was first invented, so it was practically invulnerable. It was slow, it was heavily armed, and it was very dangerous. The CSS Virginia was constructed. The CSS Virginia was salvaged from the broken hull of the Merrimac, which was so hastily burned that it did not burn below the waterline. Because of this, the Confederates had a hull upon which they could build their new engine of destruction. It was a heavily armored behemoth with 12 powerful cannon. It was virtually unstoppable. It also had a ram on the front, which allowed it to which would influence the coming battle, to take over and control this Hampton Roads battle, the Battle of Hampton Roads. I like this new base a lot. On March 8th, 1862, the CSS Virginia set sail to attack the patrolling vessels, the Cumberland and the Congress. Hold on. Stop. The CSS Virginia opened up with a withering hail of fire on the Cumberland. Also, it rams the Congress. After the Congress was rammed, it sunk so fast that the Virginia itself was almost pulled down with it and only wrenched itself free at the last second, damaging its ram. The CSS Virginia continued to fire on the Congress after the Cumberland had been sunk and destroyed the Congress as well through cannon fire. The Union, in response, sent out 3 frigates after the CSS Virginia in the hopes of stopping it. But they got stuck on a sandbar. How's that?
It was great.
Now it should happen.
Target that Confederate ship.
The CSS Virginia opened fire on these trapped ships. It got a mast shot on the CSS Virginia opened fire and blew off one of these masts on the USS Minnesota. The CSS Virginia got a direct hit on the main mast of the Minnesota, but the other 2 ships were able to get away. The other 2 ships were able to get away, however, without any damages. Cut.
Recording.
For the remainder of the day, the CSS Virginia pounded on the Minnesota with its cannons, but could not get close enough to finish the job, and because of the shallow water, the USS Minnesota was unable to be sunk. Stop. The Monitor arrived on day 2 of this battle and fought to a stalemate with the CSS Virginia for many hours, until finally the Monitor was dealt a bad blow when a cannon loosed a bolt in the turret and blinded the captain. Pause it.
Oh, my eye!
While recovering from this, they went to the sandbar because they could still protect the Minnesota from there, and also because they needed, their boat was a really shallow draft, meaning it only needed about 10 feet of water depth, and it would still work going over the base of the water. But the CSS Virginia had 22 feet of water draft, meaning unless the water was 22 feet deep, it could not work. So it had to stay away from the Monitor and could not get close enough to attack. So, no matter how hard it tried, it was no longer able to get close enough to hit either the Monitor or the Minnesota. Thinking, however, that the Monitor had given up the fight, the Virginia began to go back because it was running out of coal and it needed to repair itself. Okay. Seeing the Virginia leaving, the Monitor thought it achieved victory also, so it did not pursue. This was the final encounter in Hampton Roads, and the Monitor and the Virginia both would not live to see the end of the year. The Virginia was blown up by the Confederates themselves, and the Monitor was sunk in a storm also later that year. Stop.